Why, howdy, all. Welcome to the Lonewolf podcast. I'm just back from those fine states of the USA, and we were over there for the Lone Wolf tournament in good old Texas. What's that? What's that damn fucking raccoon again? Oh, I'm gonna fucking have that thing. So yeah, apparently nobody wants to see my pasty white arms. Apparently Pop-Tarts aren't a nutritious, fulfilling breakfast. Apparently you're better than the finest heifer in the herd does not count as a compliment. And basically, if little Walter ever wants to see any action anytime soon, I better lose the goddamn accent and get my old one back. So, who the hell needs continuity? Apparently not me. Basically, I recorded the whole battle review thing, what, be about 4 days ago now, and when I went back and was listening to it as I was trying to edit it, I realised I was well zoned out, so there was lots of M's and A's and it was a bit crap to listen to. So I've decided just to re-record it again. Now it's the Monday after we got back and I'm a lot more compos mentis and finally awake for a whole day in a row. So that's why continuity gone bye-bye. So actually the first thing I just want to talk about briefly is the social side. There we go, the 4-foot snake guys will probably go over that in a lot more detail, but we were treated fantastically. The guys, Jeff, Mark and their families put us up and just took us all the great places, you know, the pubs, the restaurants. It was all just great. It was great fun to meet everyone, fantastic social occasion. You know, even just from a non-gaming point of view, the social side of it is just brilliant at that tournament. It's what really makes it special and worthwhile making the journey across from the UK every year. You know, if it was just a normal gaming tournament, well, meh. There's loads of them over here. We don't need to go all the way to America for that. So again, just a massive shout to everyone I met, all my opponents, everyone that went drinking with us, and Mark and Jeff for spoiling us all. It was just absolutely fantastic trip. The come down from this one was hard. The post tournament blues were quite rough for a few days when normality returned. So this handsome beast here was my first round opponent, Mr. Gibney, hailing from Tennessee, Memphis in Tennessee. That's right, we're going to say it. I hope I've got that right. I met Gibney last year when I was over, and fantastic guy, great laugh, showed me where the local dive bar was. So when he challenged me this year, there was no way I was passing up that opportunity to fight him again. So we had a real close belt of a game. To be honest, all my games were pretty close this weekend, as you'll see when we run through them all. The list I had can best be described as mutually assured destruction. I sure as hell smashed my opponent to pieces, but in return there wasn't much of my list left either. So no big wins in that regard. So here we are, was the setup. Now, this is where I hit the first problem with this list. I hadn't really thought through a plan. I'd changed the list a bit from the one I'd tried out, so I think I'd only played maybe like 1 or 2 games with this, like 3 games in fact at Lone Puppy with this list. I didn't really know how to deploy it. I couldn't get the deployment nailed at Lone Puppy, and when we rock up here Saturday morning, I'm looking at the table without a clue what to do. So that was my first problem. Over the course of the weekend, I got better in deployment. And to be honest, I wasn't too far off, I think, where I needed to be with this list, the way I deployed it here. Now, the other interesting thing to mention about Lone Wolf, if you're unaware, is the way the terrain's deployed. When you come to the table, there's lots of little blue dots stuck to the table. And we take turns picking up a piece of terrain and putting it on it. And you have to put that piece of terrain so it covers the dots. Now, that was good for me. That's fantastic. You know, with big blocks of Pathfinder troops, you'll see most of my games there's forests in the middle because I want to shrink the battlefield down. My army is really only effective about 12-inch range with all the breath weapon. Other than the Licky Dons that are 18, everything else is 12. So I tried to lower the distance of the battlefield, hopefully have the fighting difficult terrain, block my opponent's line of sight to let me close up the distance. So here, this is kind of roughly the standard deployment I've kind of tried to do. On the right hand flank, I've tried to anchor my battle line against the buildings to stop his angels kind of coming round and extend all the way to the table edge. I decided to I spread the firepower out a bit because I wasn't sure what was going to go where I was going to hit, because if you look at Gibney's army on the hand, it's almost the opposite of mine. It's ridiculously fast. Everything's either speed 9 or speed 10, and that's it. So there's like 2 Basile Chariot Hordes, 2 Panther Cav, 2 units of Eoli, the Eoli character, a Phoenix, a Wizard, and a Canoness and a Chariot. At this point, actually, I should probably mention what my list is. So I have sort of starting from right to left. So we've got a unit of fire elemental horde with Mesa Crushing, 2 Lichidons. So you can see the oversized dinosaurs. They were supposed to be a different type of dinosaur in the past, but we couldn't be bothered modelling something else up slightly smaller for the Lichidons, oversized Lichidons. Tucked in between them is the Greater Fire Elemental. Then sitting next to him is the horde of Salamander Primes with great weapons, and they've also got what do you call it? Dragon Shard Shield. That's it, which turned out to be pretty much useless most of the tournament. Tucked in behind them are the 2 Mage Priests who are mounted. One has Blood Boil, the new Blood Boil magic item, and the other one has Surge. They both also get Fireball 10, and they're elite. Now, the big green dragon is a Clan Lord on a Fire Drake with wings and Blessing of the Gods, so elite. The other side, you can't quite see it because they're hidden by the Dragon Lord, is another unit of Fire Elementals. This another horde actually of Fire Elementals with the Blade of Slashing. Then there is a regiment of Salamander Primes just with hand weapon shields. Tucked in behind them you can see the Herald who's got the Diadem of Dragonkind. Then we've got the big red dinosaur as another Clan Lord and Fire Drake, this time with just the Wine of Elvenkind, so nimble. And then there's one more Fire Elemental regiment tucked away in the back flank. So, not Fire Elemental, sorry, Salamander Prime regiment with hand weapon shields. Now, the logic behind this army is we've got a chunk of breath weapon and sort of range stuff in the Lichidons and the Firebolts to pick off some targets, weaken them before they come in, and then we've got the Elementals and the big Prime Horde to kind of smash stuff, and then the 2 regiments are mostly there just as kind of holding action and for unit strength, because the theory we've been working on when I've been talking a lot with Dan recently is we were struggling with lack of unit strength in the list, so we were trying to up the amount of unit strength we'd bring to help us in scenarios. We'll see how that worked out over the course of the weekend, but wasn't massively impressed with them, I have to admit. So that's the setup for the first game. So let's get on to the first turn. You can see the first turn there was really indecisive from me. Well, there's only so much you can do when your opponent is just faster, and if he gets a charge off, he's going to utterly annihilate you. Like those chariot hordes that are like, I think, TC2 with 30 attacks hitting on forward, so if he gets a charge off, I'm in trouble. So I just kind of move up, keeping most of the units out, giving them like the odd charge here and there that would be unfavourable, so you could launch one unit in against like the Fire Elemental, say, or a Lichidon or something like that would then get picked off. I moved right up behind the woods to kind of dominate that area with the horde, but generally keep them protected from the big chariot horde, etc. And pushed up a bit in the left. I think I left, did I leave him 1 charge? No, I think I kept everything out of range on that side as well. So pretty indecisive from me. Next turn though, things got a bit crazy. So this is my turn 2, this will be. So Gimli came forward. I managed to, on the left, you can see there was a chariot horde that is now gone. But the breath weapon and a good blood boil just millered it in 1 turn, just took it off completely. That was better than I'd hoped for. I was hoping to maybe waver them. And that's why everyone's tucked in behind the regiment, because I figured I'd put some breath damage, wouldn't destroy them, they'd come in, they might bounce because they're charging through the woods, and then I'll breath them off next turn. So that went really well. Over on the right, just the far right, you can see there's a lot of damage on that Panther regiment now. They got wavered as well, which was really helpful. And in the middle, he'd moved the chariots up so they were just peeking in the woods. So I thought, to hell with it, I will launch the Fire Elementals in there. They were out of range of the Prime Horde, unfortunately, but I thought I'll put the Fire Elementals in because they're slightly faster and see if I can do some damage. He did some damage, but it was pretty not nearly enough to even get a waiver, really. So that was slightly disappointing. So that was that. Next round then. So at this point, Gibney strikes back. The Fire Elemental Horde get dissolved. In the left flank, sort of the far left, as you can see, kind of went in with the Panthers and the Oli into difficult terrain, charging the Salamander regiment and did some damage but didn't pop them. On the right though, I thought, right, my Fire Elementals are tucked tight against that building. You can get 1 unit of Eoli in against them. They're dash 17. Well, fine with that. Not a problem. He evaporates them. I think he put them on double ones with a head-on charge with 1 unit of Eoli. So that kind of put the battle plan to pot completely. And the other unit of Eoli had to fly right around the building, so at least that took their time, so they weren't quite so bad. But at this point, I'm kind of winning in the left, but not quickly. In the middle, it's looking, could go either way, and the right is collapsing, so it's not looking fantastic for me there. So, what happened after that? Well, as you can see on the left, I started to turn around and engage. It was pretty indecisive the next round. On the right, I moved up the primes to try and block some of them. So the primes in the woods. Right. So hang on. Let's take this logically from left to right, shall we? Left flank. Nothing much decisive happened. Turned around, breathed in some stuff, charged some stuff. Nothing got wavered. Nothing had changed there. In the middle, the prime horde went in and smashed the chariot regiment, took it off, and then turned to face the angels. The clan drake and the clan lord on the fire drake was trying to breathe on the chariotess, but didn't really do much to it. Over the right flank, I start to try and use the Lycaedons to jam stuff up. It's worth mentioning that Panther cavalry horde got wavered again by the Lycaedons, so that was quite good. That gave me another turn before they could come in. Now you can see also there's a little blue guy in front of one of the angel hordes. That's because their proxy pieces are used because the dinosaurs are very big and impractical when it gets into close situations. So that's where the Lycaedons are. The orange one's just sort of sitting back out of the way, but he's not actually there. He's where the blue model is. Making more sense to really put the orange one there, but So I was trying to basically block up the angels. So one angel, the bottom one couldn't charge the horde, and the other one I don't think could see it. Or the bottom one could only solo charge into difficult terrain, which I was fine with. I thought, I'll take that. I wasn't too worried about that one. And then things started to go a bit pear-shaped. So Gibney came in, he nuked one of the Lycaedons, but the Lycaedons managed to shoot off the Panther cavalry first, which was good. I had put the fire elemental into the flank of one of the regiments of angels, and you can see he did. They got with flank. I managed to put like 11 wounds on them, but didn't do any. Rolled really low, so they were fine. In the middle, though, and this is where I made a real big screw up, was I gave the rear charge. Well, okay, so I say screw up. Rock and hard place here. Someone was getting a rear charge, so I gave it to the Abatess. Now I thought he might try and skewer me between the Abatess and the angels, but what he did was put the angels in to try and stop my blood boil guy, and he fluffed those rolls, and the guy actually survived. But the Abatess went in the back there and put out a hell of a lot of damage. I think, if I remember rightly, she wavered them. That wasn't as good. On the left flank, on the other hand, this was good news. I managed to clear up, so I took out the Panther cavalry, took out the Oli character, and this lot is now free, so they're kind of turning to face back the way and come back into the fight in the middle. But they're going to be too slow to arrive to have much effect at this stage in the game. Now, at this point, it's probably worth actually mentioning the scenario we're playing, because up to this point, it'd just been a fight. And the scenario was called Texas Hold'em. In fact, quick jump edit, and edit back in. Smooth, yes. Professional, no. So, I've got a scenario here. It's called Texas Hold'em, and thank God we got this one out of the way first thing. We also discovered at the end of the game we've been playing it wrong, slightly. Meh. But we decided just to go with our wrong interpretation that way. That was fair because we've both been playing it that way. So there are a list of 9 objectives, special rules you could pick. And each of us picked 2 as our objectives. And then there's a wild card one. Now, so what I had picked, what my opponent had picked, Gibney had picked, was the one where he'd to have more stuff in my deployment zone than I had in his, which, given his army speed, makes perfect sense. And I think he also took the one that was control more table quarters in your opponent. I had picked the one that was control the centre point of the table. Yeah, control 12 inches of the centre of the board, and control more terrain pieces in your opponent with scoring units in it. And then I think the wild card was kill the enemy general. So our generals had to die. Now, the way it worked was you scored X amount of scenario points. So you got 2 for scoring, 4 points for scoring your card, your ones you picked, and 6 for scoring the river, which is a wild card, the kill the general one. I think it was the kill the general one was the other one. Yeah. So we got to the end and we discovered we could have scored everything. So there was a bunch we hadn't picked that we could have scored, but we decided just to ignore that part. But long and short of it, at this stage in the kind of game, this is the one. Yep, last pick. This is the last one. This is what was left. So Gibney had a horde of Eoli and 1 wizard. Now I had my regiments and that coming in from the left, but that was Gibney's other one. Sorry, I've just remembered. Gibney's other one wasn't table quarters. It was kill more shooting units than your opponent's shooting units and you lose. So he had like 1 unit at a range attack. So he got that one. So he'd already got that one. Now it's clear, with another turn, he turned those EO, I ran them to the corner, far out my range of being able to get them. And I managed to take then the centre position and the train pieces. He managed to take his one of kill more shooting units and get his angels in the opponent's half of the table. I had killed his general. He hadn't killed mine. That was the only difference in the game. That's what it came down to, and that made it a 17-3 to me. Not a 17-3, a 13-7 to me. So a very small win, not much in it at all. Really tough game. I know Gibney struggled with that list all event really, but I thought it was a really good list actually. I like really fast lists, and I've been playing around, so I think there's still something there that might work, but it is, I think the problem you were saying was, it's quite obvious in this game, it hits like a ton of bricks, but it's complete glass hammer. As soon as it hits, that's it, you then can take it out, and what we ended up doing was just trading units. I just did a slightly more favourable exchange, I think, thanks to the terrain. I managed to pick some of the fights in, but that was about that. So yeah, in the first game, up 13-7, up 13 points. Not a bad start. I'm starting to feel about good with the list at this point. It's starting to gel for me. To game 2, and I'm against this fantastic beard. Honestly, I'm amazed. He managed to win Best Painted with this lovely Forces and H armies brought with him at the tournament, but I don't know how he found time to paint up, given how much time he must spend grooming that damn beard. But this is Billy Capgun. If you're on Fanatics, you've probably seen him post up his stuff. You can just see in the bottom of this corner of this picture the massive display board he brought. There was a few people who had brought ridiculously large display boards, and Billy was the only one sensible enough to also bring a trolley to wheel it around on. It was that big, it needed a separate trolley. So yeah, there seems to be a thing in America right now with massive display boards. But the army itself, as you'll see as the game goes on, my pictures don't do it massive amounts of justice. Was lovely, really nicely painted army. So yeah, that's Billy, and he's also from, I think he's also from Tennessee and Memphis. He's part of the Blue City Brawlers, the same as Gibney. So that was quite good. They're a good bunch of guys. If you get to play any of them, it seems to be a good game, because I think I play one more later on as well. So here we arrive at the game, and I'm a couple of pictures behind. Mostly I'm blaming alcohol at this point. So Billy, if I remember rightly, there's a unit of Naiad and Snares out there on the left. There's a unit of the Worm Riders, which you can't see, they're hidden by the big green clan lord just now. There's 2 Pegasus with Lightning Bolt. There were three regiments of Tree Elementals. Is Tree Elementals the right word? Tree Shamblers, shambling tree things. The tree things, the big tree things. He has 2 units of Centaur Cavalry, the hitty ones. Again, you can see, I think the hitty ones are the hitty shooty. I can't remember. You can see them on the right. And then out in the far right, he has these 2 Beasts of Nature with Wings and Lightning Bolt. So you get quite a lot of Lightning Bolt. The Pegasus had it, the Beasts have it. He's got some shooting, he's got some combat. You also see there's a wee guy with a pink hat in the middle of the back of his army. That's his Lone Ranger, because this is the scenario we're playing. My Lone Ranger, you can see hiding behind the Clan Lord there, looks suspiciously like Pertwee Doctor Who. So the Lone Ranger scenario, you had 2 options. You can either have a Lone Ranger or a Lone Wolf. Most folk, I think, went for the Lone Ranger because he's got like 4 shots with Elite and Pearson too. And there's also the Lone Wolf, which is fast and hitty instead. And it's a straight up kill game, but there's some bonus conditions. Whoever's Lone Ranger or Lone Wolf inflicts the most wounds, so you tally up how many wounds you gets a bonus 250 victory points. I've got the sheet there if I bothered looking. Getting your Lone Ranger in your opponent's deployment zone get you 350 victory points. And I think if you kill your opponent's Lone Ranger as well, or you keep yours alive as, I think you get a bonus 250. So that's how that one works. So as you can see, initially, Billy had used the tree herders. Forest Elementals. We'll go for, I'm just going to call them Forest Elementals from now. And you use the Forest Elemental regiments and shove them up quite aggressively. You can see on the left, there's one right up close. I think that actually charged. There's a Licky Don there. I think it's charged. No, in fact, that one is now currently charged. That yellow thing actually represents a big red dragon. It's just practical position. So I put him into one. I think the turn earlier, a breath weaponed one off quite early on. He'd been zapping away with lightning bolts a few bits, but I think his initial lightning bolt barrage didn't do too well. You can see over in the middle, If you can sort of see just behind the tree, the other unit's been pushed out the way to free up the Worm Riders. So the Worm Riders kind of came through, and yeah, you can see I screwed up my position royally with the Clan Lord. I've put them, I think I tried to turn all the guns to the Worm Riders and failed, and silly I just left the Clan Lord sitting there in front of them. As you can see, sort of, so yeah, that's going to go the inevitable way. You can see it. And on the right flank, you can see he's turning hard, and I'm refusing that flank. And in the left, I'm pushing up, but the Naiad and Snares are just sitting the other side of the woods. There's also some characters backing them up. I can't remember what they were. So this was his right flank. Just wanted to get a couple of pictures of these lovely models he'd done there. Turn around. So that's the beasts and the centaurs there. So this is how we end up now. Quite quickly, we're kind of turning. I lose my Clan Lord in the middle thanks to that screw up. And I decide to start turning the fire elementals right. Now I figure if the Naiad and Snares push through the woods, it's not a major issue. I'll just turn and surge back into them. Otherwise, I'll keep refusing and push him round, because he's been a little bit too, felt to me again, a little bit too cautious in the right flank. If he'd pushed that harder, it could have been more decisive early, but he was being a bit careful in using his lightning bolt a lot, but he was only like taking off the Lycaedons. It wasn't being massively painful, thankfully. So then what happened here is the Worm Riders flew across to there they are and basically smashed up one regiment of Salamander primes, but the other regiment managed to hold a charge off some centaurs and a beast of nature, and that gave me a really kind of important opening and a really sort of good opening. Where are we? Just saw my notes. Yep, we're there. Good. Right, so where do we go from here? So then I managed to use some surge tricks. First, I didn't photograph it very well, but the blue fire elementals managed to come around the building and get a line into the flank of the centaurs. So they went in the flank, the regiment I think went in the front, and we annihilated that. And then I breath weaponed off the beast. I just threw all the breath weapon from the Lord, the Lone Wolf, everyone into that beast, and managed to pop that as well, which I didn't expect in all honesty. I thought I'll take the regiment, but I was just trying to damage the beast. So the breath weapon again surprised me. But the breath weapon's a bit... You'll see as the kind of tournament goes on, the breath weapon is very feast or famine. You either have either does fantastically well all the shooting when you focus on something, or it just fails horribly. It almost feels like the story of this army. Everything's 4-ups, and 4-ups are just... They don't roll averages. They just seem to either all hit or all miss. It's quite painful that way. So again, Billy comes back in with the Worm Riders and the various sort of the forest elementals, etc., and annihilates the front line. So one unit of fire elementals goes bye-bye, and the unit of salamander primes goes bye-bye. And on the left flank, you can see the naiads now have popped back in the woods, because he held them back behind the woods, which gave me far too much time to move the fire elementals quite happily showing their flank across. So I was quite happy to just march away from them in that regard. And this point, of course, the naiads now had went too slow, and I could outrun them. So I managed to get those fire elementals in and kill the forest shamblers. I shot off, I'm pretty sure, breath weapons off the other unit of... Oh, what are they called? Centaurs. That was it. Centaurs, yep. The centaurs there get breath weaponed off. The forest elementals got fire elementaled off. I'm not sure where my big dragon lord is. Did he die? He must have died. I don't remember him dying. And I've shoved the BSB in the way of the Worm Riders to stop them basically being able to charge the horde. And I've just turned the horde and ran with it, because I can outrun those naiads now and quite happily stay ahead of them. So at this point, he fell for the surge tricks again. I managed to... He didn't see the surge from the orange fire elementals, so I turned them, moved them down, surged them in the flank, popped the Worm Riders. I charged down here. The horde went in against one of the wizards, Druid, and I put the greater fire elemental in against the I think he charged that in there actually, and it just countercharged. I think that's pretty much close to the game, is it? Yeah, I think we're in the final position here pretty much. So yeah, and that was kind of it. That was the final position, isn't it? Yep. Go back to that sec, that lovely grinning face. So yeah, this was how we ended up in the final position. I managed to clear out all the stuff in the middle. The naiads moved up threateningly, but they were just too slow, and I managed to outrun them. He had... he had a Pegasus alive. I managed to take out the other beast. I managed to take out the druid. So overall, I came out of this one up a bit. The Lone Wolf Lone Ranger, well, Lone Ranger in this case, Lone Ranger victory points. We both, as you can see, had ours live. There's the pink hat, there's the doctor behind the building. Mine's had got the most kills, and his one had got into my deployment zone. So overall, he was 100 points, victory points extra because of that adds that out as an extra. I was about 500, he was 600 points, and what it ended up being was an 18, not an 18-2. I keep doing this, a 12-8 to me. Just managed to eke out a small win there. Again, it was a tough game. The screw up the Clan Lord early on was probably my prime mistake. That's the one part I definitely put my hands up. But I managed to catch Billy out with the surge tricks like 2 or 3 times this game, which really helped. This was the one game more than anything that the surge really paid off in. So yeah, that was quite good. So again, second game out, feeling quite good. No big wins, no big wins, but slowly winning up. The list is starting to feel like I'm getting the hang of it now. Especially the concentration of fire. I knew that was going to be important, but it really, these 2 games especially, just picking one thing and blasting the crap out, it really did surprise me how good all the breath weapon that was when it works. So at this point we reach game 3, last game of the Saturday, and I've got Todd Serpico, which, yeah, great. Todd, I love the guy. Again, I've never had a chance to play him before, so this was just great. Another really good opponent to play against, so I was well happy with this. Todd had brought Abyssals, and we were playing the Texas Twister scenario, so I've got that here. So, right, Texas Twister was a bit interesting. You divided the table up into 4 quarters, and you rolled the dice, and depending what the roll was, like a 1 your opponent picked, 6 you picked, or the other 2, 3, 4, 5 it went to an appropriate quarter, and wherever the tornado touched down that round, there was no flying, you couldn't pass over or anything, there was no flying allowed in that zone, and all shooting was at an additional -1 on top of everything else. It didn't affect our game much, really didn't affect our game at all. The tornado, not that I remember anyway, but at this point my memory's getting a bit hazy, I'm not going to lie. So to win this one, you had to basically have the highest unit strength fully within 20 inches of your opponent's table edge. That fully within is an important point. Yeah, I buggered up. And there was also, you could get +3 scenario points for having more regiments in your opponent's deployment zone than they do in your deployment zone. +2 if you've won the classic invade scenario, and +2 if you control more table quarters than your opponent. Right, so relatively straightforward compared to some of the other ones they've got. So let's get into the meat and veg of this one. So this is deployment here. So Todd's army, and I'm going to struggle to remember all this. He had the new Moloch formation, so there's 2 regiments of Moloch. You can see 1 anchor on the left and 1 tucked at the back, plus the monster, is it? Or is the Shadow Fiend? Whatever the other character is, it gets the +1. He had a horde of lower abyssals. He had 2 regiments of, I want to say, thralls. They're not thralls and abyssals, but they're just cheap. Whatever the really cheap kind of crappy abyssal unit is, I can't remember what it is. He had 2 regiments of tortured souls. He had a winged, you can see him out there, the winged demon prince. I think he's got a second one on the right as well. And there's a big monster. I think that's the big monster thing that goes with the abyssals. And of course there's one, oh, I can't remember his name, the thing that's got 20 fireball basically. Can't remember. But Ifrit, that's the word, Ifrit. The Ifrit with boots, I think, or piercing. Can't remember. Anyway, so we both deployed pretty much tight on the right. I was kind of using the buildings to anchor my line a bit, wasn't too bothered. This time I tried massing all my firepower, so I figured the fire elementals in the regiment tend to be the scary point when folk out deployment, so I put them down first and people try to then flank them. So I thought I will put the regiments down in the right and then back them up with all the firepower, so everything at the breath weapon, everything like that, the greater fire elemental, both lords, the Lycaedons, the mages. There's 1 mage in the middle with the surge, but everyone else in the right, and try and blast through. It's not a bad plan. So how did that one go? So first turn, Todd moves up, sneaking around the far left, as you saw in the earlier picture with the Abyssal Fiend. I move up, just holding back in the left a bit so his guy has trouble flanking me, but otherwise using the woods. And on the right, I push up, and the breath weapon just absolutely nukes off that lower abyssal horde. I think by the time everything was done, I put like 30 wins in the damn thing and just took that straight off the table. That felt good. Made Todd think for a hell of a long time. Like, he spent a lot of time after that working out what the hell he was going to do. So that was a good opening move for me there, I felt, and it paid off big style. So that was quite good. And then Todd starts landing the first blow. He did something which I honestly didn't quite expect him to. I was quite surprised because everyone else I'd played so far had been quite passive. I'd gotten the habit of expecting people to be a bit passive, isn't the right word, cautious. We'll go with cautious. Todd just went hell for leather. So in come the Tortured Souls, the big demon thing. He moves the Molochs up behind. He just shoves everything in there, kind of guts deep, basically. Goes for this other unit, Molochs up on the right. Yeah, actually, see that big two-headed thing? It's not a greater... Is it a greater fiend? I don't think it is. It was something that blasted away lots of lightning and didn't do much combat. Like I say, game 3, drunk. So next round... changed the camera angle just to confuse me. I was struggling to strike back, but in the left-hand flank, the way he charged. So I managed to pop one unit of Tortured Souls with the Horde, but the Fire Elemental screwed up and only did 7 wins and left that unit of Tortured Souls where it was, so I was in trouble there. And again, I went in against both those cheap units. You know, one unit of Fire Elementals bounced. I put both regiments into one. They didn't do anything. The Breath Weapon was pretty uneventful as well this round, I believe. So, yeah, the Breath Weapon... No, the Breath Weapon didn't. The Breath Weapon paid off again and nuked a unit of Molochs. Yeah, Breath Weapon was working really well this game. Just took off the unit of Molochs. What make that, I have to admit, is the Blood Boil spell. The Breath Weapon, the Lucky Dawns, all that shooting at something gets it weak, but doesn't get it dangerous, and then the Blood Boil just came along and would always push it over that edge into the double wins. So that combo was working really, really well for me in this game. And then, unfortunately, we exchanged flanks. As you can see here, my left flank then dissolves with all the flank charges, everything else I was buggered basically. That Fire Elementals went bye-bye, and the Horde went bye-bye. He also, one of the mages, I believe, he took out one of the mage with Surge, because he was annoyed. He tried to nuke them both after the Blood Boil touched him in bad places. But on the right flank, I managed to take out both those cheaper units, and I now control the hill. And we've swung table quarters. There's kind of no way about it. We've just kind of swung over and exchanged table halves. So where do we go from here? The next one is, so this is now where it just comes down to game of attrition. Who can kill the most stuff quickly? So... you can see the Tortured Souls going in against the Lucky Dawn. Two of his units going around the right to try and engage, and everything just basically closing in for the kill. Now, at this moment, I'm generally thinking it's in Todd's favour. It's not looking great for me. It's not looking well. Well, yeah, it's not looking great. He's still got a lot of combat block there, and although I've got quite a bit of shooting tucked away in there, I've lost my Blood Boil. So it's getting a bit trickier basically at this point. 79. So just checking I don't want to run over the pictures. Yep. I know, and this is where it gets interesting. The Tortured Souls didn't actually take the Lucky Dawn out. I think they botched up. So I managed to nuke them off. As you can see, the Fire Elementals went in against the Molochs and failed. They went in and they did 11 wins but didn't pop it. In fact, I think I double winned it. What it wasn't pretty. No, I didn't double win it. I wavered them, but they've got Fury. That's what it was. And that big beastie thing, as you can see, the two regiments went absolutely laid the smack down. They did quite well indeed. And this is pretty much where the game ends. So one regiment dies in the top. The other regiment goes back in, but they don't kill the thing because I think it regen. I managed to take out the Molochs, but I lose the Fire Elementals. And this is end of game. And this is where we harken back to the scenario, and they always read the scenario with the part about must be fully within your opponent's table edge. I thought it only had to be within 20 inches, didn't realise it to be fully within. And that cost me the game. Basically, I thought that regiment there would have meant we were drawing everywhere else, and that would have given me that one win, which would have given me the small win. And unfortunately, I was wrong, so it meant the small win came to Todd, so he got the 11-9. So I lost 9 points that one. I was a bit annoyed at first after the game. Once I cooled down and thought about it rationally, I'd screwed up, basically. And I've challenged Todd for first round next year. Yeah, first round next year. I'm getting my revenge on Todd for this one, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, again, it was a really tough game. It went to the wire. There was a lot of swings and roundabouts. I managed to get that really good opening blow against the lower abyssals. Todd's aggressive comeback paid off big style by collapsing that left flank, Blake in 2 turns ridiculously quickly. The breath weapon again pulled it back, and this is the underlying theme I've found with this list. No matter what game I've played with it so far, it's very good at clawing back points. As you can see, it's pretty much death and destruction across this board. It's pretty even, and this is what's slightly annoying about the list. I need to try and change something up with it. We'll get into that then, but it's just it claws back points so well, and it doesn't lose very well. It just doesn't win very well either. That's the problem. It's a hard list to beat, I think. It's just not a list that really wins in any kind of big way either. I'm still trying to work out why that is. Here we are, game 4, Sunday morning. I hadn't stayed up too late on Saturday night. Well, I'd sort of stayed up late-ish, but then Dan started singing karaoke and I cleared off to bed because I decided at that point I'd just had enough for the day, and I was struggling to stay conscious. So I woke up Sunday feeling relatively refreshed, as refreshed as you can when you're kind of well outside your time zone and maybe drinking heavily most of the day before. And also the novelty, it was a Sunday and I could actually drink at a tournament, because normally I'm driving, so you don't get that option in the UK, but got to do some nice Sunday morning drinking, which we'll go with it was fun. May not have been the right idea, we'll see. So game 4, I was against this fella here, Jimmy Dodgins. He had Undead, he's relatively new to the game, and we're playing the bullseye scenario, so think of that like they'll dominate, but you've got different tiers of circles in the middle. Something like, within 6 inches, the unit strength is worth 3 times, within 12 it's worth 2, 18 it's worth 1. So the closer units are to the middle, the more unit strength they're worth, which it adds up to the scenario. The way they did it here was you work out your unit strength in the bullseye, and then the difference in comparing a chart, which gives you your actual final score. You also got so there's the bonus points. Here they are. You get +2 3 scenario points if your heroes in your opponent's deployment zone. Actually, so you have more heroes in your opponent's deployment zone than they have in yours. +2 scenario points if you'd won the classic dominate scenario, and +2 scenario points if you control more table quarters than your opponent. Okay, relatively straightforward, not too bad for the Sunday morning. Let's crack on. So this is a deployment, and we've moved up a wee bit. Now, Jimmy's Undead was a bit interesting. So he had 3 troops of Wraiths, and then so you can see them down the front there, and then sort of starting from the left going across, there's a Werewolf Horde, a Lycanis, a Wraith, not Wraith. What's the flying ones? Not the Wraiths. Their Wraiths are flying, but it's the other flying unit. And that's a Horde of Rights. Assuming that edit worked, that'll look really smooth. Next to them, there's a Regiment of Mummies. Next to them, there's a Horde of Skeleton Spearmen. Then there's a Zombie Legion, and then there's a couple of troops of ghouls in front of that. Character-wise, I said there's a Lycanis, and he has 2 Lich Kings with Surge and Heal. So he's got and one had the Fireheart Amulet, so used 2 spells, and the other one had the Magic Cloak of improved healing. So he had something like 12, 13, about 14, 15 dice worth of healing, and about 24 dice worth of Surge. So this is not going to be an easy game. Right, where's the next picture? Come on, there we go, professional as fuck. So this is when it got quite interesting. So my thought looking at his army was he's just going to rush me. I'm in a whole lot of trouble with those Wraiths and the ghouls. He'll just come up, advance behind this wall of chaff, pick his charges, and just wreck my face. That wasn't what he did. Caught me off guard. So on the left flank, that's what I forgot. There was also a regiment of Soul Reavers. They're tucked in. There you can see this picture behind the werewolves. So on the left flank, he pushes up the werewolf horde with the Lycanis and Soul Reavers in behind it. And he goes for a cheeky long-range surge with a Wraith regiment onto my Lord and Dragon. That almost caught me off guard. As you can see, so in the previous picture, my first turn, I started pushing around the building because he didn't put anything to cover that side. And everything else just kind of stayed where it was, because the centre point, the bullseye point, is just the other side of that building from the fire elemental. So if I could swing around that flank, I was quite happy to sit there and look at him and pincer him. I wasn't. So my worry was he'd rush, because if he rushed, he could run right past those other regiments, but he hadn't. Caught me a bit off guard. So I think, well, this is a golden opportunity. So I charge the Wraiths in the flank with one of the regiments. I bring up all the breath weapon and turn it to the werewolves. So both lords, the blood boil, and 2 Lichidons, and I do a grand total of 5 ruddy wounds. Bugger. And not only do 5 wounds, I then just failed to waver them as well. So that was a bit of an issue. We're in trouble there. And the inevitable happens. The werewolves come in. And at this point, I also fluffed it. Like, if you look back and see, I don't know what I was thinking. I thought, I'll put the character forward. That'll protect the Lord, if from the charge from the werewolves, because it will. Except, of course, they would give them like a 1-inch overrun. Thankfully, when he came in, the luck came my way this time, and he bounced. He hit the mage and did 5 wounds just because they're quite tough at 5 defense, and that allowed the mage to survive. The regiment, on the other hand, died horribly to wraiths and soul reavers, so that didn't go so well. And you can see sort of the behind the other units kind of moving up in the top right, but again, he didn't really come forward particularly quickly. So again, this is it from a slightly different angle. At this point, I just started moving away from these guys. So I pulled the Lucky Dons out behind the woods. I moved him where he might get charged by 1. But otherwise, in the centre point, there's a bit of turning going on. You can see I've been shooting at those guys. You can't see my mouse pointer, can you? The guys in the top right, the zombie legion, I put some wounds in them, but he kind of healed them up. But otherwise, his centre line's just staying where it's staying, and it's not really moving. Now we come over to the right flank. At this point, I've turned the building, and I'm starting to stare down the zombie legion. It's just a kind of case of manoeuvring so that I can get... Because I know how tough zombies are. I've run undead for a while. So I'm trying to get that fire elemental regiment with a flank charge, or surge, just in position I can surge them in the flank. That's all I'm trying to get to. But he was playing very cagey, and there was lots of manoeuvring back. And when I say cagey, I mean this game was the longest by far. You've got an hour and 15 in the clock. And, generally I had about 20-30 minutes left. This one I had like under 5 minutes. I had 4 minutes 30, and my opponent had 54 seconds. So when I say there was a lot of thought going on in this game, there was a lot of thought went on. So over this side, the orange thing represents the big clan lord. That got kind of, spit roast basically. But pretty indecisively with wraiths. As you can see, the soul reavers, he turned and started marching them across the board. Oh, the rights, the other one I want to mention. The rights there are slowly just kind of hanging around, and the mummies, and you can see the skeleton horde in the top there are now starting to manoeuvre as well. So he's starting to push up because he's realised I've got the centre. He also went for a cheeky little charge with some wraiths into the flank of the Great Fire Elemental. It's a bit of a surprise after I didn't really see the charge. I wasn't massively worried. They're not going to do much. He's dash 18, defence 5. But this was something I think he kept doing. So Jimmy kept making these little, actually really quite nice little aggressive moves, but there was nothing backing it up. He did it in the left flank. He pushed up. If he'd brought a bit more firepower, he'd have crushed that pretty quickly, but he didn't. He just didn't send quite enough that allowed me to defeat that in detail. And again, here the wraiths came forward, but he didn't follow up with anything else. And I think that was, I'd say that was probably Jimmy's biggest mistake throughout this game, was he was actually pretty good at finding little openings and surprising me with the surge and stuff sometimes. He just wasn't following through with enough firepower to seal the deal, if you like. So where are we at now? Just checking my slide numbers, and I've actually got notes for this one, surprisingly. You wouldn't believe it. So here I decided to charge the clan lords back in. So one's dueling with Lycanus, the other one, where the wee orange thing is charging one wraith regiment, and I thought I'll whack a Lichidon in the rear of another. Yeah, that was pretty terrible. Lichidon failed to even wound. It's like 15 attacks, hitting on 5s, crushing 1, so 5s and 5s. Should at least done 1 wound. Nope. The big man, the big red guy who's where the orange thing is, just did a wound or 2 and didn't do anything. The same, my lord against Lycanus was just thoroughly uneventful. That flank is slowly collapsing. Over the right, you can see I killed the wraiths. I've moved up position. I'm now starting to just go to the zombie legion. Come on, let's have at you. And you can see the soul reavers are slowly kind of crossing over to this fight as well, which does bother me because they were blending stuff. And I would have thought I'd have been able to shoot them off, but I was just struggling to get them. They are defense 6 after all. So over on the left, this is where my moment came. He counter-charged, so that unit of wraiths that hadn't been pinned down by Lucky Dim went went across and charged the Lord, and between them and the Lycanus they wavered the Lord. The other Lord, though, he failed to wound, but it didn't really matter. This is where the nimble came through. I managed to get a nimble charge on the right unit in the flank with him. It was glorious. He came in and he just nailed it. The dice were perfect and he smashed the unit off. That made a massive, massive difference, because that unit, if that unit came into play, they were pretty much going to smash whatever they wanted. So that one little nimble charge got me them taken out completely, and now has my big clan lord facing down the back of his army. So suddenly the pressure's well back on him, and I'm feeling confident at this point. I've got him kind of scissored, and you can see the Lucky Dons kind of came through the woods and tried to put some wounds on those Soul Reavers, but failed, unfortunately. So at this point, this is how we're looking in the right. I managed to bring the Zombie Legion into fight, I don't remember whether I managed to put the Fire Elementals in the flank or not. I think I did, but between the two of them, I just obliterated the Legion in one round. Double one that popped that one, and now the squeeze is on. I'm feeling quite comfortable. My biggest worry here is actually I'm getting out of position a little bit here for the bullseye, which is there, so I had to kind of watch that and couldn't stray too far from where I was. Right. So then the Skeleton Legion comes in down the bottom. The Soul Reavers come in against the Fire Elementals. The Mummies are moving up. My Dragon Lords, I think, both died at this point. I'm not sure what got that one at the back. I can't remember. I think he got rear charged by Wraiths. Yeah. I think he surged some Wraiths into the rear and then ate him, because he already had quite a few wounds in him. And the other one down the bottom corner, I'm pretty sure he died as well, to the Lycanus and stuff. So that flank's now gone. But to be honest, I was quite happy to exchange that Lord for the unit that he took out, whose name I just cannot for the life of me bloody well remember. And I think this is the final. Yeah, this is final game state here. I managed to pop that Legion. The Soul Reavers did die, but then he counterattacked with the Mummies and the Wraiths and took out the Fire Elementals. But I think I had one more turn, but either way, I ended up in the game winning position. I had the big Horde, which got within 8 inches for treble points, I think. I had this Fire Elemental Horde was just in. They were sort of in, but they weren't worth nearly as many points. I also, had more units heroes in his deployment zone than he had in mine. Table quarters wise, I think it was a draw or a controlled one, I can't remember. By the way, the end result was it came out as a 15-5 to me. Very, very, very hard fought 15-5. I said how long we took in this. On a Sunday morning, this game left my head nipping something chronic. Jimmy played really well. Just needs to be a bit more aggressive. I think he's going to be a really good player once he gets a bit more practice under his belt. Other than that one mistake giving me the flank with the nimble, which everybody does now and again. He played a pretty solid game. It was the way he played was interesting. It's not how I'd have done it. Very much get it in the face, move the whole army with all that chaff, etc. I'd have shoved it brutally in my face. But the picking off, did it work? Didn't it? Well, it didn't work because I lost the game, but it wasn't the worst idea. Personally, I've been curious to see how the game would have gone if he'd been really aggressive and just moved forward en masse with the whole force, and brought the entire bat line to bear within by about turn 3. So yeah, really good game again. Really friendly opponent, lovely guy, proper head screwer of a game. Maybe not what you need on a Sunday morning, but I'm back up now. It's a 15-5 win. 15-5 win. I'm not doing bad. 3 wins, 1 tiny loss, 3. Not big wins, 2 small wins and 1 kind of medium win. But that's not a bad place to be going into the final game on day 5. Well done, you. Well done for sticking with me all the way through to game 5. So my final game was against this lovely fella here, Chris Bowden. He had Abyssals. And Chris, well, it was a fantastic game, basically. Chris went on to win Best Sportsman at the tournament. And deservedly so. Charming fella. Really good game, and he's from the Blue City Brawlers as well. So generally, I think you can't seem to go wrong with those guys. 3 for 3 here the day. 3 Blue City Brawler games, all of them really good. So yeah, highly recommend if you get the chance to grudge win them. Well worth them. Anyway, let's get on with the game. So final game, and it's against Abyssals again. So Chris, slightly different list. Going from left to right, he's got a Moloch Horde. Check. He's got the Lower Abyssal Horde. He's got... It's the demon. Is it a demon prince? It's the character that comes with the Moloch horde. So he's got the two Moloch hordes in the formation, and that's the character that comes with whose name I just for the life of me can't remember. So and then with lightning bolt, tucked behind one of the Moloch horde in the middle is imps, and then over the right we've got an Ifrit. We've got Basusu, and we've got, I think it's Basusu, isn't it? Yeah. And then over the right we've got 2 regiments of tortured souls. Now Chris had spread quite wide. I'd sort of kept similar formation as you can see I've done before. In fact, my plan was to try and nuke the lower abyssals straight off the board again. Since it worked so well last time, I thought let's just set up, put all the firepower, go nuke off those lower abyssals, see how that goes. So turn 1, I moved up to set it up so you can see, trying not to look like I'm looking at the lower abyssals. So lots of things looking everywhere bar the lower abyssals, making sure everything's out of charge range, just kind of moving up cautiously, nothing major. Chris again didn't really respond much, not much moved. On the left, the tortured souls moved up a bit, but that was about that. And he repositioned some stuff, sort of on the left over to the right, I mean. But I decided at this point to strike, jump to the lower abyssals, let rip with everything, did some good damage, but not quite enough, and failed to pop them. That round, so that was a little bit disappointing. I think I wavered them though, so that wasn't so bad. Next round then, so I take the lower abyssal horde out, managed to pop that. Chris shoves the imps forward to block up a bit and starts to bring his characters over from the right. On the left, these guys kind of move down. I just ignore them. I just turn my back to them. I figure if I do this right, I'll be able to run away from them. So I leave one regiment to die, basically, facing them. Oh, the mission, I should say, is Six Flags over Texas. So this is one where the board, see there, that grid, it's divided up into like 6 squares, and you get 4 points for controlling it based on unit strength. You also got 2 extra points if you control the centre zone on your opponent's side, like Invasion. 1 point if you control the centre zone on your side, and 1 point if your opponent does not control any zones on your side. So it's just a slightly more advanced Invasion scenario, really. You can also see the Clan Lord, unfortunately, is taking a bit of a battering. The Ifrit and all the lightning bolt, he just chucked it all at the Clan Lord. And even with a bit of cover, it didn't really help him much. So, of course, next round, Clan Lord go bye-bye. Long and short of it, he just doesn't have much of a chance, and gets nuked off the table. And my firepower isn't really doing anything amazing. The big red guys actually where the little orange thing is, and with the Licky Dons just now, they're trying to ping away, but they're not doing much at all. So at this point, I decide it's time for some drastic measures because the units in the left flank are closing in. So I charge the remaining Clan Lord at the Ifrit because the Ifrit is just wrecking face. So I try and assassinate him with the Clan Lord. In the middle, the imps die. And I leave that line set up. I basically set this line up so that you can't get in the flank with the Tortured Souls, and any charge you make is probably going to end up in difficult terrain. Now, that's what I was trying to do anyway. And then, boom, Chris decides to go for it. So the 2 Tortured Soul regiments come in and bounce. They don't do much. Over to the right, the Molochs come in against the Fire Elementals and again eat them alive, even with Basusu. Even though they were both hindered charges, they still destroyed the regiment clean out really quickly. And over there, the Demon Prince, whatever thing is, went into the Clan Lord to try and protect the Ifrit that's hiding behind him. Now, at this point, though, can you spot the mistake Chris has made? Well, I could. I was quite happy. He basically left the ass, if you like, the ass of the Molochs exposed, not just to the regiment, but Mr. Nimble. Mr. Nimble came out to play, and the regiment and Mr. Nimble, who's where the blue thing is, came in and smashed the Molochs, and had destroyed both Tortured Soul regiments, turned to face left, feeling bloody good at this point. I've got another regiment over there that's going to die against the Molochs, but they're holding them up for a turn or so. All is good. I'm thinking, yeah, I've got this. I will dominate these 4 quarters. Yeah, I got time to clean up. Yeah. I thought, yeah, I've got this game now. I was feeling quite in control. So at this point, you can see I start to spread out. Fire Elementals go in the bottom left. Other greater Fire Elementals hanging around the top right. The big hordes kind of manoeuvring into his half, my half, the other regiments there. And over there, you can see in the far left, the regiment dies. So I move up the BSB's chaff just to hold them up a little bit longer. And then, so this is how it's looking, and you're thinking this is looking pretty good for you, Ball. You've got your Lord and that regiment in his central half. You've got this, my horde is the majority in my centre half. The fire elementals in the bottom right, the greater fire elemental top right. Looking good. 4-2, plus his zone. Unfortunately, I don't have any more pictures, but then what happens is Mr. Efreet, who we had tried to kill, and Mr. Lightning Bolt come along, kill the Clan Lord. We go to turn 7, so I'm still winning turn 6, and turn 7, they kill the regiment, and that brings it back to a completely flat 10-10 draw. Both sides equal. It's a really good game. Chris was lovely. It was just like, oh, turn 7. I've been pretty good all tournament, actually. I don't think we'd had a turn 7. I think everything had gone on for 6 turns. Maybe there'd been one turn 7, but I was generally, either way, I was prepared for it. But this game here, I knew I needed to end quickly because of a bloody Ifrit. It just would not die. Somewhere along the line, I managed to keep Basusu as well, but he was a pain in the arse too. Not much you can do about it, really. 10-10 draw. I'm glad it ended that way. Chris was a lovely opponent, and it was a really enjoyable game. So, yep, here we come to the end of the tournament, and I finished on about 59 points, if I've done my maths properly. That put me about 22nd, just short of the top 20, which was slightly frustrating. I did want to get in the top 20. Worst finishing Brit, ironically, at 22nd, which it's not a bad thing, really. Overall, Paul went and won. From the bright side, anyway, Paul went and won the overall. But he didn't care about that. He's not bothered about winning. He says it all the time, so it's quite clear it wasn't important to him. Dan, the new UK Al Thompson, really was the bridesmaid at this one as well. He came up second, so UK 1 and 2 overall. Nick won Best Brit, which basically means he was the best hind Brit that didn't win any other placements. When we won Best Team. Team UK or Team 4 Foot Snake and me apparently. Hello. So yeah, it was a good haul, and the haul of medals we brought home with us for the UK team. I'm happy with it. I had like 5 cracking games, really good opponents, really good games. The social aspect was brilliant. Yeah, Lonewolf. If you're going to go to America, go to Lonewolf. It's just such a good tournament. You'll have such a damn good time. I can't wait for next year. I'm definitely going to go back next year. Even if I stop playing Kings of War, I'll still probably pull the army out to go play at Lonewolf. Yeah, great tournament. Mark ran. Brilliant opponents. Yeah, that's that. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully it won't turn out to too much of a marathon when I get through the edit. We'll see how it happens. Anyway, catch you later. Have a good one.